Okay, we're going to do tutorial 9 now. I'm going to start on page 492. There's two worksheets that are on Moodle that have to do with tutorial 9. One is called investment, and I can't remember what the other one's called yet. I'll go back and take a look at it here. But I want you to open up investment. And when you do, come on back and turn me back on here. What I want to talk about as I look at this worksheet, I see documentation, I see investment page, and I see the loan schedule. We're going to work on the investment page, and again, I'm on 492. We're going to get started here. I want you to look and see what this grid looks like real fast. The story goes like this. The owner of Bent Cycling wants to expand, and they have a certain amount of money that is put away. They know what they want their expansion to be. They find out through a contractor how much it's going to cost for that expansion. Well, they don't have enough cash put away for that expansion. And so she wants to figure out, what are my options? She wants to figure out how she's going to finance this particular project. If she were to invest the money she has into a fund, how long would it take for that fund to grow in order for her to be able to use the money for it? Or if she were to be able to put money into an account, into where this money is on a monthly basis, how long would it take for her to get to that particular point? The best way to describe what this section is all about is simple this. If you look at these 8 columns up here, the initial investment, investment goals, annual rate, blah, blah, blah. The majority of these are all interchangeable. You remember those equations where it said A plus B plus C plus D equals a number? And let's say it was A plus B plus C plus D equals 100. And they give you A, B, and C, you're able to figure out what D is. Or if they gave you A, B, and D, you'd be able to figure out what C is, because you'd be able to subtract it all from 100, and whatever's left over is what C was. Well, that's what this graph here does. This graph allows us to do a couple things. We're going to figure out how much a loan would cost and blah, blah, blah. So let's just get started. I'm on the bottom of page 493, and it says to calculate the monthly payment for the investment fund. Because what she wants to do, she wants to figure out how much money she's going to have to put into the existing money in order for her to build up to where she'll be able to have this expansion. So it says in A5, we are going to put in monthly payment, and in parentheses, PMT. And that PMT is kind of important. And if you look over here, here's PMT. That's where our answer to this particular equation is going to be. We're going to add in some variables here, and then we're going to tell Excel, in this spot right here, I want you to tell me how much money I have to put into a fund, into this initial investment, to get to my goal. Okay, my investment goal. Okay, so I've typed in that in A5. And it wants me to go to B5, and my initial investment is going to be a negative $100,000 because she has $100,000 right now. Okay, so now we're going to go up to the top of page 494. In C5, we're going to enter $300,000 because that's our goal, and that's a positive number. Okay. So our negative number, what we're starting with, is $100,000. We want to figure out how much money we're going to be able to put into this account, how long it will take us, or how much money we need to put in there in order to get to $300,000. And we want to do it in 18 months. Okay. Well, she's making currently 5.4%. This is where I want everybody to listen to me. You're going to do a homework assignment. You're going to have something on the take-home final that has to do with interest rates. When we calculate an interest rate, when we calculate money compared to an interest rate, you have to understand this is the annual rate. And it's very important to understand that this is the annual rate. Okay? If I'm going to make 12 payments, or in this case 18, but let's say 12 payments a year into this account, this is going to compound monthly because I'm making one payment per month. So what I have to do is I have to figure out what the monthly interest rate is. So here in E5, I believe the instructions say to enter 12 because there's 12 months in a year. And so here I'm going to put a formula that's going to divide 540 by 12 to give me my monthly rate. And it's pretty simple. However you want to do it, how you want to do it, I don't care. Okay, so the monthly rate is 0.45%. Okay, we want to do this over 18 months. Our goal is to start building in 18 months. Well, how many years is that? That's pretty simple to do. This is going to equal this divided by this, 1.5 years. Okay, now I want you to watch this because again this is the important thing. Okay, so we're going to go over here to I5. We're going to tell Excel, I'm going to pop in some numbers in here, Excel. I want you to tell me what my monthly rate is that I have to put into this $100,000 in order for me to get to $300,000 in 18 months at this yearly interest rate. Okay, let me say that again. I want Excel to figure out how much money per month I have to put into this account to get to $300,000 in 18 months at this interest rate per year, which is this interest rate per month. Okay, and it's really simple. Here's the part I don't like about what Excel is asking me to do, is that it just says type this in. Well, I want you to see what I'm talking about here. So I'm going to type in equals payment. There's my payment icon here. I'll double click, and then I want my my dialog box to come up. So then we look up here and it says what's the rate? Well, the rate it's not the annual rate, it's the monthly rate. So I pop in 0.45. I pop in F5. The number of periods, NPER. See, I got NPER here, I got NPER there. 18. The initial investment or present value of it is negative $100,000. Okay, now notice how the 5 options here, there's only 3 that are highlighted. There's a 4th one, which is the future value, and we need to tell Excel, this is what I want you to get me to. But you don't have to. There's going to be some calculations you do where we don't worry about the future value. We just worry about what's the payment going to be. But we're telling Excel here, hey, I want you to get to $300,000. Oops, I made the wrong one there. Okay, so I go to future value, $300,000. It's exactly what step 9 at the top of 497 says. I press OK. And what Excel is telling me is that today, if I have $100,000 in this account, I'm going to have to take $10,000 and change every month for 18 months and put it into that account. And as long as that account is making this annual percentage rate, then I'll get $300,000 in 18 months. Okay, it's pretty simple. I'm going to stop here. Actually, I'm going to redo it. Let's just go ahead and redo it. So let's undo that. Notice again how I've got my initial investment. I've got $100,000. It shows as a negative because I'm not going to use it. It's a negative number. Okay, but I want to get to a positive number of $300,000, which really is just $200,000 more. Okay, my annual rate divided by 12 gives me a monthly rate. This is going to be done in 18 months, which is a year and a half. And again, equals PMT. Double click, get my dialog box open. My rate is not D5 because it's not the annual rate, it's the monthly rate. Number of periods is 18. I want to do this in a year and a half. Present value is a negative 100,000. My future value is that, and there's my number. Again, if I have $100,000 and I want to get to $300,000, I have to deposit $10,242 every month for 18 months into account that's going to make this amount of money annually. If I do that, then in 18 months I'll be able to start building with my $300,000. So I'm going to stop here and we'll start up with page 495. Oh, it says put it output. Here's another thing people like to do. Look, it says go to I5 and then click right there, output. Notice how I got it up here in styles. If you don't see it on styles, I click on my bottom box and then I look for output. Output's right there. And now my box is highlighted with output there. Okay. All right, so that's it. Take a look at that. Do it a couple times. Repetition is a key to Excel, and we'll pick up here in a second.